And it says we are streaming live on YouTube. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you with us tonight. Good to see those joining us from Power Faith Radio. Be much in prayer tonight. Of course, we've got them on our Sadaka list. Be much in prayer for the flood victims of East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. And then also be very aware of what's going on tonight in Florida with another hurricane hitting down there. So let's be much in prayer. Excuse me for those people. And but like I said, we've got them on our Sadaka list. And it's good to have you here with us. Those of you in the Zoom room, I'll turn it over to Terry here in a minute. He can greet you. It's good to have you with us. If you're watching from YouTube, please, while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Hit that notification bell that you'll be notified every time a new video goes up. And after we get through, Terry's going to share this video on a Simple Walk Facebook page. You can go there and find our videos as well as on YouTube. And those of you listening by Power Faith Radio, again, we want to say welcome. Thank you so much. Terry, I'm going to give me a cup of water. You go ahead and take it over.
All righty. Greetings, everyone, and welcome again to our Wednesday night Outreach Noah class, of course, with those that are on the down under side. Yeah, I think it's Thursday afternoon.
Thursday morning,
Thursday morning down there where Ronald's at in around the Melbourne area, right?
Yeah.
And so greetings, everyone, and also greetings to everyone on Power Faith Radio. Thank you for tuning in again, and everyone that tunes in through Power Faith Radio throughout the world. Like I said, we've met a few people from Brazil and other places around the world, and I'm glad they were able to tune in and everything. So the greetings. And again, like Scotty has said, if you want to join us live in the YouTube room, you can go to a Simple Walk Facebook page. It's open. Scotty's got the links there for YouTube and the Power Faith Radio and the Zoom room here. If you want to come on in, everyone's welcome. Come in. Sorry, I just having a hard time talking tonight. It's been a long week already, and I got a long week still ahead. You know what I mean? Of course, I don't work 9 days a week like Scotty does.
So they call this Over the Hump Wednesday. So here's what I found out. Okay. I'm climbing all the way through to Wednesday. Now I'm just falling down the other side. I can't stand up. I'm too tired. I'm just falling, rolling down, and just pretty soon I'll get down the valley and I'll get up and start walking again.
Well, it's like what I read the other day. You know, Thursday is a worthless day. It's just a day that gets in the way of Friday.
Yeah.
But of course, if you got to work Saturday, I guess it doesn't matter what Friday is. So it's my third Saturday. I got to go work the Lexus parts counter this Saturday. So I've got a 6-day week this week.
Being on 24-hour call, 7 days a week. It's funny how people always call on the weekend. And when you get there to fix it, they say, well, it's been broke all week, but we finally got to where we couldn't handle it no more and thought we'd call. Gee, thanks.
Yeah, I know. Anyhow, tonight we're going to continue on with what we've been talking about. Tonight we're going to look at some things about civility and civic virtue. We're going to talk a little bit about the 6 points I gave last week. Scotty, I think, has got some questions we're going to head up with first. And just, I don't plan on, if we do get through all 6 of these, it's not going to be a in-depth look at these 6 aspects, because there is so much that actually you could take each one, study them out, and probably discuss these for several weeks. There's quite a bit of information out there, and I just chose just a little bit just for introduction's sake and discussion's sake tonight and everything. So we're going to get into that here in just a few minutes. And as Scotty said, he's going to be bringing up the hurricane victims everywhere around both hurricanes. Just to mention, Scotty, I've got a co-worker that works in my wife's department at work whose parents live in Tampa, and they're still in their home. So,
okay.
And everything. So I checked on her yesterday. She was actually talking to her mom when I walked up, checked on her, and told them we would be praying for them.
All right.
You ready, Scotty?
I am ready. I'm ready. Um, I'm getting some text here. Hold on just a minute, but I am ready. I'm ready. It's good to see everybody tonight. Christopher came in and Joanna came in, and it's good to have them with us tonight here in the Zoom room. And as Terry said, if you're watching, listening via any other venue, come on over to the Zoom room. You can find that link in a simple walk. All right, we're going to get started right in our Sadaka time tonight. As we've already said, we're going to give Sadaka right off the top, and we're giving this Sadaka just so that you would be mindful of the flood victims. They found a group of people. I've heard a couple of different things. A little over 30 people. They finally got up to one area, and I think it was in the far eastern Tennessee, right there at the line somewhere. They was all held up in a barn, and so they were surviving, and they got in there and found them. So anyway, we're giving Sadaka for the flood victims there, and we're fearing more people will be found not well, but we're giving Sadaka for them. And then also for the what's going on in Florida right now with another hurricane down there. That's just a lot of things happening right now all over the world. While I'm here at this point, has anybody heard what's going on in Israel right now? Is there some stuff going on in Israel? Has anybody heard? Like any more rockets or any more battles, any more things? You know, I know that's the normal thing that's going on there with the.
I've heard that the fighting on the southern border has lessened.
Okay.
They're having to put their attention to the north, which, Pesach, our teacher, where he lives at, he lives within rocket range from Lebanon. There at Safat, it's in I can't remember how far he said, 20, 30 miles, something like that. I think it is to the border from where Safat's at. I can't remember the exact number, but yeah, everyone up in that upper area. I seen somebody post today, since October 7th last year, 26,000 some odd rockets, unmanned drones, and something else has been fired since October 7th last year.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some stock in there for that. We're just going to believe the creator for that. It's going to come out. It's going to come out great because this is okay. We're giving Sadaka tonight. We always like to try to start off with Terry and I's main teacher, Pesach and Shira Sherbo. They live in Sfat, Israel. Have you talked to Pesach lately, Terry?
Not since about a week ago. I dropped him a line, but I didn't get to this week.
Okay. And then we're giving Sadaka tonight for Rabbi Moshe Schulman and in his recovery. Also giving Sadaka tonight for Nadine Akins and Michael Garland, giving Sadaka for Michael Garland tonight. And I've got so many names here, I'm just having to really look at them. Harleen Hool, giving Sadaka for Harleen Hool tonight. Also giving Sadaka for Christina Hall. That's William Hall's. Has anybody heard any update about Christina lately? I know she's went through her surgery, and
I think William posted they got it all.
Great. All right. Also giving Sadaka tonight, who's still on our Sadaka list, is Jeremy Kibbe, and giving Sadaka for him tonight. Also Chrissy Seaton. I saw that great video that Terry shared on A Simple Walk, and then it's been shared at a couple places. I believe, did you share it, Veronica? Did you put it on yours? Yes, I've seen it several places, and great video. I want to challenge you to go over and find that video and watch it. And Ronald, you're kind of in touch with her more than we are. So what's your prognosis? How's she doing?
She's really doing well. She feels really elated at the moment because it was such a shock that she's had such a great improvement. I don't know how she's dealing with that. I gather she's still not going to be in a hurry to rush around, but she's really really happy. She
Great, 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 great. Also tonight on our Sadaka list is, if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, y'all know I had hooked on phonics. If you don't know what that is, then you're pretty young. Brian Craig family. I think I got that correctly. So we're giving Sadaka for them tonight. Also giving Sadaka again. We talked about the East Tennessee and Western North Carolina and those in Florida, and also for Connie Miglish. We're giving Sadaka for Connie Miglish. Also the Roberts family. We kindly talked to them today, and we're giving Sadaka for the Roberts family.
They're
And
doing okay.
they're doing as well as can be expected.
Okay.
Yes, they're in for a long healing process. Also for Hudson Grisham, and we've got finally all the things come in for Hudson Grisham's. No, Hudson Grisham's care package we're going to send him. So we're going to get it in the mail tomorrow. And we had the things that happened up in Tennessee and Carolina. They kind of halted some of the things that were coming in that we had picked out for him. So, but they're here, and we're going to get those off to him. I'm just excited about that. Also, Ronald, how are you doing? I see you on our Sadaka list.
yeah, you can probably take me off it for the moment. We'll revisit it when I get my appointment.
Okay. Okay. So, well, are you doing okay? What's the appointment about? What are we looking for?
We're looking to see if there's been any damage from the repair to the hernia operation after I had a fall a few weeks later.
Oh,
Suffering a lot of lower abdomen pain into the crease where the leg joins the body, varying sharp pains, like I'm being stabbed there at times.
yeah.
And we need to scan it to see if there's any damage or whatever to the mesh
Okay.
that's been inserted.
Okay. Well, I know you said you could probably take me off for the moment, but Ronald, we're going to leave you on there for a while. So just leave you on there. Also on our Sadaka list tonight is Kara Helton. Kara Helton is on our Sadaka list tonight. Also, William and Tina Lyons is on our Sadaka list tonight. And then Wendell, he might be watching over on YouTube, but we're giving Thanksgiving Sadaka for Wendell and Mary Parsons. And then I also, we gave Sadaka for Chrissy Seaton, but I've also got her on our Thanksgiving Sadaka list here. So we're going to go ahead and do that again. And then we've got two on our blessed memory tonight. Roger Given just had a birthday here, I think this first of this week. And so he's left this walk of life, but I saw where his wife posted happy birthday. So we're giving Sadaka for him, blessed memory. And then also Clifford Hool, we're giving blessed memory Sadaka for Clifford Hool. You be much in prayer for us. We're going to be going and doing his service. Be doing that this coming Friday. He's a veteran, so they're doing it at the Veteran Cemetery, and we're going to be kind of overseeing that. Okay, would you help us in our prayers for all these people on the list, all these things going on? I want to challenge you just before I pray. I don't want to do this after we pray. I want to do it just before we pray. Maybe leave out, pick some change up. The majority of families that I know, even just everybody's got some change laying around the house. Just scoop that change up and put it in your pocket. And as you travel throughout the day for the next couple of days, when you see a charity box, give in that charity box and just be mindful of these things that we've talked about tonight, especially the flood victims and the flooding that's going on, I'm sure, right now. in Florida. So be mindful of that, and also for these names on our list tonight. Hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayers with compassion and favor. For we know that you are a God who hears prayers and our supplications. You are our King. Do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen. All right, Terry, how would you like to begin this tonight? Let me get a couple things moved out of the way. Do you want to do a little?
We had some questions and comments from the last couple of weeks that
we do.
we got plenty of time to.
I have formulated. I took the comments from last week, and I formulated some questions that I felt those that are listening might find these interesting. And somebody asked me today when I was talking about this and getting all these ready. And I just want to say, I asked these questions not because I don't know the answer. I ask these questions because I feel that there are people listening out there that may not know what we're talking about. So I want to present these questions in a way that we can discuss them a little more thoroughly. And so the first thing I want to discuss tonight, Terry, that was part of the communication, the discussions that was going on, that was Derek Eretz. And you made a statement that a lot of people found interesting in last week's video. Now, if you want to go to last week's class and kind of catch up, you'll know more about what we're talking. Don't go now. Wait and go after we get through tonight. Yeah, see, we'll put it on pause. You can go watch and come on back. No, but you'll find it more interesting if you'll listen to these presentation of these positional points, and then go back and watch last week's class, and it will become more full to you. So, Derek Eretz, you said you made this statement, and I thought is very great. And I'm getting texts from several different people here. So, you made a statement: a basic, natural human instinct. A basic, natural human instinct inside of all of us. So do you know what you were talking about at that time? Would you cover that for us? And then I'm going to follow on through some more questions.
Yeah, that came from, that's a paraphrased version that I have read in my studies from many places. Let me say not many, but multiple places, where the sages in their discussions on the flood, the generation of the flood, the Derek Eretz that we get, the way of the land, which is mentioned there in Genesis 6:12, that they corrupted their way upon the earth, which way of the earth is the Darko Haaretz, which we get the word Derek, which means path or way. And then, of course, earth is Haaretz or Eretz. It's the land or the world, can be translated each way. And matter of fact, I was looking at the Ramban's. I'll just go ahead and pull it out. The Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, raise my hit it here. In his Humish on Genesis, let me flip over here, 6:12. And he even makes the comment that among like many of other Torah sages of Israel, says the reason why this sealed, and he's talking about Hamas that we've been talking about, the corrupt, that particular word corrupt there denotes as they have taught throughout the Torah, that particular word denotes immorality and idolatry, and Hamas represents the it's translated as violent robbery, but what it is, it's a robbery that's done through cohort. I have a hard time with that word, with this partial, but coercion, where you're forcing someone to sell something they don't want, and even though you buy it from them, they didn't want to sell it, but you forced them into the sale. It contains that. It's fraud, and it's also laws that are established that makes robbery legal under certain aspects of law. And we've talked a little bit about that and how there are laws on our books in America. One of such law is that asset forfeiture, civil asset forfeiture, where they can legally take your property. It is set up to do it for the right thing, but it's become corrupted in a lot of ways. But it says here that the Ramban, he says the reason why that this sin sealed the fate, this type of fraud against humanity, sealed the fate over all the others, is because it is a law that is intuitively understood, and the people had no need for a prophet to warn them. Their sages has actually said they had within their own means to correct what they were doing wrong, and the flood wouldn't have happened. And because it's a natural murder, theft, and robbery, and these things like that, and immoralities is a natural thing within man that it's wrong. And the sages teach, and what that trigger inside of us that shows us that these things are wrong is that we are all created in the image of the Creator. And therefore, as the ancient sages teach us, that every human being carries within them what's called a spark of the divine. And inside that spark is that part of your soul that knows certain things from its Creator, that you don't have to be taught them. The sages says there is actually laws within that generation which are still in effect to this day that were not specifically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 laws. The 10 that we are all familiar with that was given at Sinai was given to Israel. But these others are now Israel in their Torah now teaches us what these laws are that was only carried down through oral tradition from Adam to Noah, all the way down to Abraham. But it is intuitive to know certain things, and the sages have taught that, and man knew how to correct himself. I mean, I'm going to give you another example, Scotty. Jonah chapter 3. Jonah came and warned Nineveh that they were about to be overturned. You're going to be destroyed, a city of 120,000. It wasn't the prophet that declared what their sin was. It was their king. Their king said to put away the evil and the robbery, which is in the Hebrew in Jonah is Hamas, that is in your hands. They knew what they were doing wrong. The king knew what the people were doing wrong, and the people knew what they were doing wrong. And so we have a perfect example of that, how intuitive this is, that Jonah did not tell them to put the robbery out of their hands and the evil. It came from their own king. And that's in Jonah chapter 3.
Okay. On that note, you brought up about, and I'm just going to paraphrase this. The Torah was given to Israel. It was given to them. It was written to them for us. Or let's see, how is that quote done? It's not written to us. It's written for us. Did I quote that right?
Yes, it's not written to us. It was written and given to Israel. Okay. But there are things in there that involves us, and the majority of it is for Israel because of who they are and what they're what they're supposed to be. But the Creator did not leave the rest of us out. Just like with King Solomon, when he done the prayer of the dedication of the first temple, he did not leave out the people who were not his people. They would come and pray toward the temple, that he would hear our prayers and answer our prayers. He prayed for Israel, and he actually said, for that person, for the person who is not of his people, when he comes and prays, he even says that they would know the fear of God as Israel does.
Yeah.
And King Solomon says it. So we're never left out.
Right.
We do still have a responsibility.
So our basic natural human instinct, does that cover the 6 and then after Noah, the 7 laws of Noah? Are those imprinted in us?
Yes, they are imprinted within us, because as I have studied the Derek Erets, and as we get into these, off and on in the future and discussing in a little more detail, you find them interwoven. When you understand what each one is, you find that there's actually an interwoven aspect that they are the system of civility. They are the system of civility that we're supposed to live.
Okay.
Because it takes both of them, two sides of one coin to make the one coin.
Right. So Torah being given to Israel, not to the world, what changed in the world? And I'm going to go with this a couple of different directions. What changed in the world at the giving of the Torah? I mean, did everybody in the world know that the Torah was given at the time it was given, or was it just Israel and those that were with Israel at Mount Sinai?
Well, according to the sages, quite a bit of the world at that time did know it. A lot of the world heard his voice from Mount Sinai.
Okay.
And we can read that in the Torah that there were nations that were fearful because they knew Israel was coming in their direction, because they had heard what the Creator had done for them. And the nations had that reputation. They knew. Now, according to what I have learned with this, the way of the land, there was 26 generations from Adam till the time of Mount Sinai in the giving of the Torah. And in this one particular resource that I have that gets in a little more detail on the Jewish side of things, is that the Torah did not do away with the way of the land, but upholds it. It supports it, because without it, even the Torah, without it even affects the Torah observance of what God gave the Jews, because we see that when we're going to be getting in here in a week or so, what's called righteous but crooked. And we're going to see how that you can walk in righteousness according to the will of God and be crooked. And it caused the destruction of the world during the time of the flood, and it caused the destruction of the second temple. We're going to get into that. The failure to observe the way of the land that we're learning here in Genesis caused the destruction of the temple, which is according to the ancient sages of Israel, is a microcosm of the world, of the universe. It's like a model. And so in essence, instead of the corruption upon their way, which destroyed the earth in the time of Noah, that exact same thing destroyed the temple. It still had the same effect.
Yeah.
It's very interesting when we get into that.
So the world majority, or we'll just say the world at this time, hearing, knowing about the things that happened to Israel, the Exodus and the giving of the Torah. Now, this is because this is one of the conversations, and I just put together a question dealing with this. I know today we have a lot of religions that want to imitate the things of Israel's covenant to the Creator. Do we have any record in Torah at that time when Mount Sinai of any other people trying to imitate to be like Israel? Or did they know Israel had their part, and those that wanted to kill them tried to kill them, and those that but no imitation? Was there any imitation in Torah? Am I saying this?
I don't think there. I mean, right off the top of my head, I don't think there was any other group that's was trying to imitate what they had. There was, of course, the group at the Golden Calf, the Erev Rav, who formed the Golden Calf. They got tired of waiting on Moses, and said, this is they told Aaron, this is your God. When you read it in the Hebrew, they're speaking to Aaron, this is your God that brought you out. There's been a lot of people wanting to replace it. They don't like what Israel is doing because they've tried to replace it, even from the Romans who outlawed Torah study. There's been many of times that their groups have invaded and has tried to destroy their observance of Torah and wanting Israel to assimilate into the nation's religions of that time. So they've wanted to stop what they're doing and have Israel assimilate their way. But you very rarely, you do have in the Roman time, there was a large, a lot of people don't know this, but it's in the records. There was a large number of Romans who did leave the Roman beliefs and done what we call today converted, or they changed and became Jewish. A lot of them lost their lives from Rome because of that. Because they walked away from the gods of Rome. And so there's always been through history people joining the nation, and you still can, even to this day. I mean, I studied for 7 years. I thought that was my path until the Creator showed me something different. And there's others here that has been down that same path.
Yeah.
But there's a small group of people within the nations that have joined throughout the years. Right now, they are experiencing a large growth in that area. And so, but when, the Creator showed me that He wanted me to be who He made me, and this was the path that I'll share later sometime a little bit more about my path to where I am today. But I had a specific moment in time when He showed me that wasn't my path, was to join Israel, but I was to be who I was created in the nations. And it's been a journey learning and returning. I've returned to the God of Israel. Actually, say converted to the God of Israel, meaning that this means change. I hate the word itself, because English, sometimes religion has messed up a lot of English words and other words in other languages. But there comes a point like the sailor or the guys that in the boat with Jonah, later on, they turned away from their gods and turned to the God of Israel. And there's people all over the world right now that's doing the same thing. They're turning away from whatever they were to the God of Israel. And my path, and I've got a friend of mine who's been on this particular path a lot longer than I have, and he's very highly degreed. And I was actually in conversation with him a little bit today through Messenger on some stuff, because he was trying to show me some of this stuff that I'm learning today years ago, but I wasn't ready for it. And it's like everything I've come to that the Creator's led me to has been a growth process. And this is the process of returning to being who humanity is before the way became corrupted. Right there in Genesis 6:12, it says they corrupted their way.
Yeah.
Well, there was a way that they corrupted. Well, Noah walked in that way. And the beginning of learning what this way is understanding what Noah did to be called righteous and to have favor in God's eyes. Then we can also learn from there, from Jonah, not Jonah, but Job. He was called a Tom Yasher. He was a very, simple, upright person. And there's things in Job when you see that we learn aspects from Noah, we learn aspects from Job, because they are both called by the Jewish people. They are patriarchs of the nations. And so this is it's all natural. We have to sometimes take off our religious glasses and look at the Creator, and we're His creation. I'll just read this here real quick. In Rabbi Hirsch's discussion on Genesis chapter 2:8, and God planted a garden in Eden, and in the east there He placed the man from whom He formed. Later, if you want me to, I'll go through about 3 paragraphs here. But the gist of this is about the Garden of Eden. Says the man was created outside of paradise, and that he was commanded to live in paradise, even in this world. This earthly paradise is the destiny of man and earth. It's the destination the destiny of man and earth. Even in this world, we are shown here, and in the Hebrew, where he breaks down some of the Hebrew, we are shown here that we should be how we should. He's shown here what we should be and how we should live, and how this world would be a paradise if we would be what we were commanded to be. And that's part of this journey, is we are coming back to being what we were commanded to be, all the way back to the garden. Go ahead, Scotty. You're muted. Your lips are moving. And no
my
voice.
lips are moving, and there wasn't no sound coming out. So my wife likes that. So just me sitting there talking, and she don't have to hear me or anything. So okay. So Karen put a question over in the chat area, but I want to throw this question in before we move over to that, because it deals with what you just discussed. So I'm going to start off the 7 laws, 6 prior to the flood, 1 added after the flood, which made 7. During Mount Sinai, or from the beginning, especially after the flood, those didn't change, did they? Those weren't changed. Those were still our responsibilities and our obligations and our connections.
Yes, I'm. Forgive me if I quote this wrong. It's been a while, but I think it's Exodus 24. I have the chapter wrong. It's been a while, but I think it was there around when they were there by the waters of Mara, the bitter waters. I think this is where it's at. There's a passage there where it says that Moshe he started writing the book, and it was written, and he read it to them. And the sages says what he wrote was from Genesis 1 up to Exodus 20. And also contained within that, the sages teaches us that he reaffirmed the Sheva Mitzvot, the 7 commandments that came from Adam down through Noah getting the 7th one after the flood, that he reaffirmed them to Israel at that time. And this was all the way up through, like I said, Exodus 20. When he wrote all this down in the, I believe it's in Exodus 24. It's been a while since I've been over there to that. But when he wrote all that down, he also reaffirmed the Shevo Mitzvahs, the 7 commandments.
Okay.
Because they are the standard. They are the standard, and they haven't changed. You know, the Creator tells us through the prophet, I think it's Malachi, where he says, I change not.
Right.
He doesn't change. What was established with Adam hasn't changed. Now, he did add that 7th one when he gave us permission to eat meat. When he gave us permission to do something, then he gave us a dietary law. When he made Israel priest, he gave them dietary laws to be able to operate as priest. So when he gives you a duty to do, he gives you the instructions on how to do that duty.
Right. Okay. So let's go. Can you pull your chat up?
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. And Karen asked that question, where does the Greek Orthodox come in? And then Ronald had a good reply to that, but that came in during, that wasn't during the giving of the Torah. That was way into the Roman time, wasn't it? Or
yes, that was all part of the Roman. Yeah, and the Greek Orthodox and all of them was all part of the Roman religion that was created.
I think we're a lot of people because we've got I'm trying to choose my words wisely, a church here locally that is called, I'm not going to give their name other than they've added Orthodox into it. And I think because a lot of times people that I've seen, I'm not saying Karen is seeing this, but a lot of people, when they see the word Orthodox, they automatically position that, parallel that, label that with the original, the Jewish original.
Well, even the word Orthodox for the Jews is placed upon them from the nations, not themselves.
Correct.
They do not even break themselves down into that. Now there are groups within Israel that follows, like the Breslev, follow Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, who was a descendant of the Baal Shem Tov. And so you have those, and a lot of these, you have the Lubavitchers and the Lubavitches and stuff. And what it is these are groups who follow certain teachings and teachers. Not that they're changing the ways, but as Israel travels through the diaspora, great teachers has risen up among them, and in certain areas, like in Hungary, like in Lithuania, like in Ukraine, was the Breslevs are from there. And so a lot of their customs comes from them living in these different areas and how they've developed these different things. And so they can keep the Torah within the land that they live. And because the only groups, there's only really 2 groups there's 12 tribes, and all of that will be reestablished at the 3rd temple and everything. But there's only really what we could consider 2 groups. You have the Ashkenaz and you have the Sephardim. And the Ashkenaz are the European Jews who in the diaspora goes through Europe. We call Europe and basically the Americas. The Sephardim are what's called your Middle Eastern Jews. They're the Jews from Spain, Portugal, around the Mediterranean Sea, North Africa, Yemen, and places like that. They are the Sephardi Jews. and they pronounce their Hebrew just a little bit different because of the part of the world that they, were dispersed in. But that's the only really two groups, is the Ashkenaz and the Sephardi, and that's based on where they were dispersed.
Not really what they believe.
No,
per se.
no, they developed each of them have developed customs in the areas where they were dispersed to reflect how they're observing the Torah.
Yeah.
There's different. And when it's really interesting when you talk. I mean, I've actually got Jewish friends that are in both camps. I've got Ashkenazi friends and I've got Sephardi friends. And they all read the exact same. It's the beauty of the Torah. You can go into a synagogue in the United States, the Philippines, North Africa, Spain, wherever you want to go. And when they hold that Torah scroll up, it's the same Torah scroll, not one letter different.
Okay.
And they all celebrate it when they sing at the end of their services. They sing a song that this is the Torah that Moshe had given to us.
All right. Terry, do you want to read? We kindly took up quite a bit of time on these questions.
No, I'm fine with that. I mean, it kind of connects in with what we're going to talk about here a little bit.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to turn it over to you then. That was it on where I was going with.
Okay. Like I said, if you got any questions, comments, Scotty, as we're going through here, just cut in. I don't have a whole lot here because there's so much out here that I really would like to get into each one of these more in depth and do some, like we were talking about at the beginning here about it being natural. It was interesting that yesterday I was talking to one of my coworkers. It's in the same department that I'm in. And he was telling me about this particular author that he likes, who's passed away now. And he gave me a name of a book that I want to get and try to read from this author. He said he wrote a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to say who it is just yet until I read some of his works. But he was in his youth, he was a hippie and wrote a lot of stuff. There, as he got older, got married, had children. He's actually Rich guy at work told me, he says he actually told his children, don't read my earlier stuff. I was stupid in my youth. And he said he's and I'm sitting there listening to Rich, and he says now in his older life, after he had matured, that he began to write, and he started practically listing these 6 things that we've been talking about: social etiquette, ethical character, social, a contribution with society, earning a living. He was naming these things as if he sat here and read my notes. And this guy wrote on this as he matured in his life, these different areas. And I told Rich, I said, that's exactly what we've been discussing that's coming out of Genesis chapter 6:12. And so I went in there today and I told him, I said, he wrote down the name of the author, and he wrote down one of his favorite books that he wrote. I think he discusses some of this in it. So I want to get it and read it first. But I just found it interesting as we were talking. You brought up the fact, is this natural? And here's this man who was a wild buck, hippie, and was anti a lot of stuff in life. But when he got older and married, settled down with children, and started living life, he started seeing his youthful ways were wrong. That there was standards to be lived by, morals to be lived by, ethics to be lived by. And here he just was listening. I'm like, he came on this on his own, and he changed his life. And I thought that was really interesting. Here's the subject. Was talking with him yesterday right before I left work. But I titled tonight's class after the two terms that I'm going to define for you here: civility and civic virtue. Again, we're talking about the way of the land that became corrupted. So we're looking at the positive side of the way of the land that's not corrupted. And what do we learn from that what they did that caused the corruption that we brought out last week? The sages, they said the Torah doesn't really tell us a lot about that way, but it tells us, volumes of information by knowing what corrupted it. And so the opposite of what the corruption is. And the sages developed these 6 areas from the study of the things that caused it to become corrupted. But civility is the state of the society in which the relations and duties of a citizen are recognized and obeyed, a state of civilization. That came from the American Heritage Dictionary. It says, treating everyone we encounter and all members of society with consideration, decency, and respect, recognizing the image of God in each person. Now, that came from my studies from my Hebrew studies, where the sages are quoted. I just kind of took that out of one of the quotes when it said that, I think it was Rabbi Hirsch and some of the others had said something similar to that. And I just wrote it down in my own words: treating everyone we encounter and all members of society with consideration, decency, and respect, recognizing the image of God in every person. Now, that being said, with what a lot of stuff is going on today, where some people want to believe that they are some weird thing and they expect people to accept. Understand here, it doesn't say that all members of the society accept everything somebody thinks they are. It said we with consideration and decency and respect. There are people who are living very ungodly lives according to what the Torah tells us to live by. And a lot of people want to attack them. And I can understand, because they've been pushing this stuff on us. But that doesn't mean we just have to disrespect them. We know they are not living according to the will of God. We don't have to accept that, but we need to respect their humanity, because they do bear the image of God, even though they're not walking in that image. Because if we take someone who we know that is not living the right way in some of these things that's going on in the world today, and we do harm to them, then we're held accountable for the way we treated God's creation. And so accepting and respecting are two different things. We don't have to, be forced to accept this stuff crammed down our throats. We don't have to accept it. But there comes a point where we do need to at least try to respect the humanity that's within those people. And that's a hard thing for us to do, because if we mistreat them in any way, we're still mishandling the creation. And because we are not in the position nor given the authority to correct their way. And so I just wanted to bring that aspect up, because I know this is a touchy thing right now. Usually we don't have to, there's accepting and respecting. No, we need to be decent and respectful people and be the light, of the nations, that as we're in the nations, as we learn to walk the will of God, let that will of God shine forth in the image that he's given us toward those who are not walking in the image. It's interesting. You find Noah didn't go out really and challenge a lot of this stuff. As we study Genesis 18 later on, and Rabbi Hirsch talks about the righteous man of Sodom. What would he have looked like? What was Abraham looking for? And there's a lot of neat information there on that subject. And it doesn't show that he was accepting everything that was around him, but he continually to admonish and to teach and try to bring everyone out of those ways back to the right path. And we'll get into that here in the future within the context of this this study that we're doing. Then we have civic virtue. Civic virtue. Always aspiring to act for the good of society in general and our fellow citizen specifically. Always aspiring to act for the good of society in general and our fellow citizens specifically. It implies living our lives in a manner which is not only good for ourselves, but always focuses on the greater good. Fundamentally, civic virtue is an individual's duty to place their community and society and its needs above their personal desires. We are getting to see an awesome example in this coming out of the Asheville and the North Carolina, the Northeast Tennessee and the Virginias. If you've watched any of the videos of how these people are coming together and overcoming, and they're stepping outside of themselves for their communities. If you want to see an example of civic virtue, go watch some of the videos of these people joining together. I watched the video, actually I shared it, where up in the mountains where you can't get vehicles, man, it looked like John Wayne and Clint Eastwood on horses with all these supplies going out through the woods. It looked like, the old days. And it was a horse train going up through there with all the supplies going up through there. There were people that took the bottom parts of the trailer aspects of an 18, the 53-foot trailers, and they started making bridges with them. They could even drive big equipment across. And it's just some of these videos. If you want to see civic virtue, it's coming alive out of these areas that was damaged. See, because it's natural. And this is the way the Creator, he loves to see this when humanity comes together like this, because this is his will. It's a shame it takes disaster for this actually to happen sometimes, because generally when there's nothing bad going on, there's a lot of bad being done instead of the joining together. But for civic virtue, just watch some of the videos of what's coming in out of the mountains. And I guarantee you here pretty soon when this, Milton gets through, you're going to see it down in Florida. You're going to see civic virtue and civility coming alive. And we look at it and we don't think much about it. But these are divine virtues that the Creator desires for us to live by. And so the Torah scholars of Israel has identified, like I said last week, 6 different elements that gives definition to civil and civic aspects of the way of the land. Again, the first one was social etiquette, ethical character, earning a living, contribution to society, intimate family life, and environmental conscious. It's 9:00, Scotty. So what you want to do? You got more questions?
No, but I would like to include something. Are you through reading?
Yeah, let me just take a few minutes and talk a little bit about social etiquette.
Okay.
Because I found this very interesting. Social etiquette, which some of this stuff you just get online and you can study. Now, some of this, like on Civic Virtue, you get on there and read a lot of it. There's a lot of government stuff on there pointing all this duties and stuff toward the government, which I'm not saying that's not wrong, but in situations that we have seen in the flood, it's not always right either. Civic virtue needs to be going toward the community, the citizens themselves. We need to be, we think that, and holding the needs of the people, above your own specific desires, especially in situations like we have, that's going on in our nation today and in other nations. But just a little bit on social etiquette. Social etiquette is about showing respect to yourself and everyone around you. Its emphasis is on the behavior that occurs between people like your family, friends, coworkers, and even strangers. And so what I wanted to do was share just a little bit here of something that I learned about a year ago in my job. And I work for Capital Toyota, Lexus, Chattanooga. We're owned by the same family. And which Capital Toyota is the oldest Toyota dealership in the state of Tennessee. It was the first one. And when Lexus came to this area, he was given the opportunity, the owner was given the opportunity to get a Lexus dealership. So I moved out of our parts warehouse and shipping about a year ago and got opportunity to go to the Lexus parts counter to learn. Now I'm over at the Toyota. They brought me over there and learning. They kind of rotating me around in my learning. But one of the things I learned, the Lexus brand is amazing. The history of it is just, I had to study it. I had to study the history as part of my training, watching videos and reading on the history and the brand itself. And one of the major things that they operate off of is called omotenashi. It's a Japanese word, omotenashi. I have loved this little thing. I actually would like to just study this out some more and do some writing on it. But omotenashi, it is a philosophy. It's a Japanese philosophy that the Lexus Japanese people want. They want this in all of their dealerships and all aspect of the Lexus dealerships. If you go to a Lexus dealership somewhere in your area, you go in and you may find the word omotenashi in some kind of plaque on the wall somewhere. But it is Japanese philosophy of hospitality. And I wanted to tie this to the social etiquette here and how, again, this is natural. Here, this comes from the Japanese people. Omotenashi is rooted in the Japanese culture of hospitality. It extends beyond mere service to embody a profound philosophy. The term is first known in the, Heian period, 794 to 1185. It translates to a fusion. It's omotenashi is two words. It's a fusion of two words. Emote refers to one's public face or image presented to outsiders. In some articles, it talks about, that that fake face, that we sometimes give people. How are you doing? Oh, we're doing good. And inside you go, no, life sucks, kind of thing. But emote refers to one's public face or image presented to outsiders, those from outside of you. This could be family. This could be, in the situation of these articles, and like Lexus, it's your customers. And nashi. Nashi signifies nothing. Omotenashi, in its joining these two words, means a sincere and transparent form of hospitality where every gesture is wholeheartedly offered without pretense or hidden agenda. Omotenashi is your face, your character that you are emitting is wholehearted. There's no fakeness. You are without pretense, and you don't have a hidden agenda. Deeply ingrained in the Japanese traditions, particularly influenced is you'll see tied with this word in Japan is a tea ceremony where they show a form of hospitality where they're giving themselves out to their guest. Omotenashi encapsulates the nation's mindset of caring for guests with genuine warmth, emphasizing the essence of hospitality over expectation. Deeply grounded in selflessness and mutual respect, Omotenashi transcends mere politeness, symbolizing dedication to delivering exceptional service and care to your guest or to those around you. I have found that this philosophy from our Japanese brothers and sisters that has developed as an amazing example of a culture who has established a whole system of social etiquette. So there's in the Talmud, in the writings of our Jewish brothers and sisters, it says that we should learn from every man. There's something every person has that we can learn something from that's positive. This is an example from our Japanese friends that they want this. And I'll be honest with you, I worked at the Lexus dealership, and Southern Americans, they don't get the philosophy as good as they should sometimes, because we don't have that culture. We have the old Southern hospitality, but because of where we're at in time, even in the South, we've gotten away from it. But you get into some parts like the Carolinas, the mountains. It's still there. 150-year-old type hospitalities that we hear about and read about. The big cities seems to erode that culture. And so I just wanted to share this with you that, as we talked about how this is natural, that the Japanese developed this philosophy of hospitality that is given without pretense and hidden agenda. It symbolizes dedication of delivering exceptional service and care. And this is a culture, not just an idea. And this is part of what, in social etiquette that we can learn from our brothers and sisters in other lands and other cultures. We can find their social etiquette, even our own. We have social etiquettes, In the South, you still have a lot of people that open doors for people. You still have some guys, if they can beat their women to the car, will open the door. Some women want to fight with you. You open the door for them. But I'm just saying there's social etiquettes even within our own culture here in America, whether you're in the South or the North, the West, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, places like that have got their own kind of etiquettes. In the Dakotas up there where Veronica's, resting right now, they've those, horse people up there and the big ranches and stuff, they have their kinds of etiquettes. You come down to Mayberry, they had their, so social etiquette is the first thing on the list. And it shows respect to not only yourself, but everyone around you. And this is part of the way of the land that is correct, that we're expected to live by. Even after the giving of the Torah, it's still a policy that God judges us by, all humanity. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay. So I am really excited about somebody we have in the Zoom room tonight. I'm going to say excited. Joanna Flynn Wakehuff is from the areas up there that had some uh, heavy destruction, and I just asked her if I could have her kindly tell about having feet on the ground right there. Joanna, if you don't mind, if you would unmute there and tell us kind of where you're at up in that area.
Okay. I got background noise in the room next door, so
You're good. We don't hear it.
you might if it gets loud. Yeah, I'm about 20 miles south of Asheville, 20 miles south of Lake Lure, about 30 miles south of Swannanoa. Those were the three places hit the hardest close to me. My family comes from Lake Lure. And that was totally just wiped out through there. We fared good up here. We lost 25 trees up here on the mountain. We lost a carport. That's so minute compared to what others have lost. Some of our neighbors lost their homes up here on the mountain. We're on the mountaintop. And we had a lot of landslides. We had got 6 roads coming in and out of our mountain that we can take. And still some of them are impassable with slides that may take a long time to get fixed. But I've never been through anything like that before, so I really didn't, and really just never, I don't know, it's something unless you go through it, you just don't understand what it's like. We had people, families up here, we never met them, didn't know them from whoever. They were just people to us up here on the mountain. And we came together. A quarter mile from my house, we have got a place, crossroads, and we started meeting there every solitary day, helping one another, providing assistance, getting trees out of the driveways, getting food and stuff in, and water. We even made a helipad up here because there's so many trees, but there's one little round knoll top up here that we mapped out a helipad in case we needed it. And fortunately, we haven't had to use it. Our supplies and everything, we've got a church that's been supplying us with a lot of things. In fact, we got so much together now, and everybody for the most part is doing really well up here. And in fact, we're taking the supplies that the church has been bringing us and taking them down to Lake Lure to help down there. And of course, I think they're swamped with supplies in those places right now. They need hands-on people, out there working. They need equipment, they need people who can move things and do things physically to help out. And of course, my husband and I, I'm 77, he's 81. There's not much we can do in that sense. But there is a bit of survivor's guilt when you go through something like that. And I can imagine, like I say, we're a few miles away from them. On a mountaintop, we had some damage. But I can imagine what kind of survivor's guilt is going on with the people who actually lived in those particular communities, and they came out completely unscathed. And there are some like that. So there's going to be, I guess, what you call PTSD, among a lot of people going through it. You hear about this in Florida and Louisiana and those places. They're used to it. They're prepared for this kind of thing, but not the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. We're just not prepared for it. It's something that we never have happen, not to the scale. So yeah, it's very humbling experience to go through something like that, and spend a lot of time talking with them, man above.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I could only imagine it. And something you said that really the reason I wanted to talk to you about it is, you know, hearing the stories from people down in the, not all the way in the valley, but in the hollers and things of that nature, where the rain came through so fast and so quickly off the mountains
Yeah.
and the slides and everything. And I've read stories where not everybody got out of the house.
No, they didn't.
Where somebody was helping somebody out, they got their immediate, wife and child out and went back to get their parents, and the mud just took the house away,
Mhm.
and they didn't get there in time. And as you said, it's going to be it is very questionable. Why did you know uh, why did I survive?
Yeah.
Why did I make it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's kind of, it's a mind boggling experience. It's humbling. It really is. I mean, and yeah, there's still a lot of people missing,
yes,
and they got horseback in there. And my granddaughter, she's rides horses, and she trains horses and everything, and she's been down there with them, searching and trying to help them find people. But yeah.
So if I can ask you one more thing, I know this is emotional for you, but as you said, there's a lot of things coming in, water, food of that nature. But now we're fixing to get cold air here in the mountains.
Blankets.
Yes. So now, so do people who's listening to this, or maybe we may share this with, they need to focus to blankets, tents, somehow to stay warm. Is that what they need to focus to now?
Yeah. I think they've got enough food. They, for the most part, enough water. But yeah, things to keep them warm. And unfortunately, we've not had any rain since then, so everything is drying out. But there's also, you got to remember too, everybody has been focusing on Asheville, Swannanoa, and Lake Lure. I'm in Hendersonville, just south, but in fact, there was no news about us at all there for a while, because every
Right.
road coming into Hendersonville was totally closed. But there's a lot of small communities like Burnsville, Barnardsville, Spruce Pine, little bitty nook and cranny communities that I don't feel like they've been really focusing very much on them. So there's people back in some of these little hollers, and they are little hollers right in the middle of the mountain, right? And they need help
Yeah.
as well.
So I want to ask you one more thing, Joanne. I know, during this time, especially people that we're talking to now that may see this or hear this, you being there, having bird's eye view, feet on the ground, what would be their best avenue, or who would be their best person to maybe send funds to, cut out the middleman? We're talking about who do you know? I don't care if it's a church. I don't care, because people say, well, I'm not going to give that. No, that's you. Who would be someone feet on the ground right there that you hear is giving the best response in help?
Yeah, the local churches are probably doing more for the people than just about anybody. Look, my first thing would be to go to the churches, and there are a lot of churches that are digging in. My daughter is the secretary at one of the churches in Edneyville, which is about 10 miles from Lake Lure, and they've been working hard trying to help.
So I'm going to ask a strange request, Joanna. When we close our Zoom room, I would like if you could send me some contact information to some of the churches that you know of, some of the places that you know of. And I know people say, well, you may not believe like that. You may not believe, but listen, when it comes,
this is the time to lay that stuff aside.
yes, when it comes to this, political affiliation, religious affiliation has nothing to do. It's helping the people.
Yeah.
So Joanne, if you could send me some information, and I would like to get that out and have, because just like you said, we've got people here that's gathering things and heading that way. But some of them are having difficulty, like where to go. And like you just said, there's some of the little places that's not even being mentioned. That's probably not getting anything. If you could send me some information, contact information, and I'm going to try to get that out and see if I can, filter things that way.
That would be really good, because I did read, Scotty, you posted, was it Swan? How you pronounce that, Joanne? Swananoa. They were requesting tents because of the cold weather coming in. I mean, I've got a 2-person tent. I've got a guy that I'm giving it to that's shuttering stuff up to the East Tennessee area. Tom, which Scotty.
Tom Massengill.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him that, but I can go to Walmart and buy a couple of more little tents. And if you can get us some information of how we can help get these to people up in the mountains, that would be helpful. I mean, because Scotty and I know this one person. I don't know where. I mean, he's the ones that helps gathers, and then other people, they volunteer the trips that are taking it. I don't know where all they're taking. It's just like today was really neat. I work with a guy who's a pastor of a small Baptist church. They're up there in Cleveland, where I just moved from, and he said that they were given an outbuilding from another church that didn't need it. And when they got it, it was full, had 50 really nice chairs in there. And so he was telling me, just out of just conversation, that the chairs in the folding chairs in their fellowship hall was just mixed matched stuff, that they were just going to get rid of it. And I said, ho, 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 they were going to haul it off. So I got him holding it off, Scotty. And I've contacted Tom that we got about 25 folding chairs, because people need to sit and stuff like that. But these were going to go to the trash. And so I've rescued them to get them to Tom next week to get them up there. So any information on how we can help get stuff for winter stuff, because we know up in the mountains, it's going to, like Sky said, it's going to start getting cold.
Yeah, it is.
It was in the 50s here last night, so it probably was in the 40s up there.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 40s this week here.
Okay. Yeah, it was in the 50s here in the Chattanooga area last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get a list together.
Yeah, if you can help us.
And the areas, not just the churches, but the areas that's in your mind, you just recognize some of the ones. It's not even on the map. Some of those, when I was young in ministry, I traveled all up through there, and there's little places they're just everywhere. And some of those places aren't being mentioned or even thought of. And so if you could write those down as well, and we'll see what we can do about, we'll just see what we can do.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time, Joanna.
Well, thank you.
And I could tell by you talking that it for a long time, it's going to be an emotional thing in our heart, in our mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joanna. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Scotty.
Spending that. So, all right, Terry, are we about to come to a close?
Yeah, I've got everything done tonight. And guys, please continue to filter in your questions. And even if it's not a question, if it's a comment that can be turned into a discussion to help someone else out with, get them to Scotty at Outreach Noah. Was Outreach Noah at gmail.com.
Yeah,
gmail.com. If you send those to him, and so we can continue these discussions into the weeks ahead, because this is areas of stuff that's not being really discussed by the religious, and it's not about religious. It's about becoming the human being that God wants us to be. Yeah. And it's woven together. There's divine commandments and ethical ways of living that's woven together that is to produce the man, the woman that we're supposed to be. And it's a shame that we have to see it coming together in situations like this. Hopefully we can get our world to a place to where we don't have to have something, to remind us that we're human beings. We're not a religion. We're not a political party. We're human beings.
I think when things like this happens, it opens up opportunities that sometimes we fail to see. And so I'm okay. I'll let stop or I'll start crying.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate Joanna joining in with us tonight.
Yeah,
because it was some of her stuff is that I've shared and seen, and I've talked about that she's shared.
Yeah. All right, Terry, I'm going to bring us to a close. So everybody, please remember those in the areas, as Joanna mentioned, those there in the small areas in Tennessee and in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. And then also remember those in Florida at this time. I looked and we've already got reports of fatalities there. So these are troubling times, but we are to continue to give charity, to help. We may not be able to help everybody. We can help somebody.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter the amount. If you've just got 50 cents, get it to somebody that can do something with it to help these folks out.
Yeah. And as Joanna said, blankets is one of the big things, tents.
I like what Karen said here too, wool socks because they're warmer.
Yeah.
And also some wool socks, if you can afford to go get the water wicking socks and help donate some of those in the wetter, with them getting wet and everything, that'll help out. And they're generally wool.
Yeah. Thomas has got his hand up. Thomas, go ahead real quick.
I was just going to say, I got friends in West Virginia, and they've been sending help to North Carolina, Tennessee, and all that. And they just said that the other day. Wool blankets. They bought out every camp stove at Walmart. Some of that stuff was carried in by mules and donkeys and stuff like that, along with
medical supplies.
Diabetic, yeah, medical. Thank you, Terry. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, blankets and everything like that. That's what they're looking for right now. They got food up the yin yang, even MREs and everything else. And I've been talking to my friends up there in West Virginia, and like they say in this area too, that last of people help each other because our government ain't doing crap.
Well,
it's the people.
Yeah. The people do the best. Joanne, I'm trying to come to a close, but Joanna said something that is the face of kindly our society today. And it's I don't know, there's nobody to blame the fault. When I was a little boy, I remember oft times that my grandmother and grandfather would find out somebody was sick, and it always amazed me how they would rally together the neighborhood and they would take food over. They would go cut their grass. The ladies would go clean the house, and they knew their neighbors, even though they wasn't of the same religious affiliation or maybe
even
not.
race and race, especially down here.
Yeah.
With all the problems.
And they would, that was part of community. I see a lot of, I'm going to get myself in trouble, Terry. A lot of B'nai Noah say, oh yeah, we need to get us a community. Your community's right outside your front door.
Yes.
And it's not a time to preach. It's not a time to say, hey, you're wrong, I'm right. It's a time to affect your community with kindness.
What is it that you say at the end of your videos?
If you impact your community today, then your community can impact the world tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
that's even carrying a pail of water for someone.
Yes. When I get off here, I'm going to cry. So Everybody, please come back and be with us next week.
Yes. Thank you.
Share the videos with all your social media platform. I'm just going to close it right there. See everybody.
Y'all have a good week. See y'all
Yes.
next week. God willing.